Many Americans are fighting a losing battle against debt. One financial planner says there is a path to victory. It just means going through the basic training you need to win your financial fight.
Basic training, where ordinary Americans are transformed into soldiers ready for battle. Go. Drills teach immediate and correct responses to some of the most uncomfortable or unnatural situations. It works on the battlefield, and financial planner Steve Repak says it can work in the battle against debt as well. He should know. Repak served 12 years in the Army, then retired with massive amounts of credit card debt. That debt forced him to utilize his military know-how and become a certified financial planner to fight his way out. Now Repak shares his secrets to financial success in his new book, Dollars and Uncommon Sense, Basic Training for Your Money. Through worksheets and helpful web links, the Army vet shows how to retain your mental and emotional mindset towards money. Repak argues that too often money problems result when people rely too much on common sense, when instead they should apply a little uncommon sense.
Well, Steve Repak joins us now. Steve, welcome to 700 Club.
Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Why is it for today's military families, so many of them are getting into massive debt? You had 12 years, and then at the end of that, you had over $30,000 in debt. Why? What are the fundamentals here?
We know that we like to buy things. It makes us feel good. And serving in the military, you know, you're under a tremendous amount of stress. And one way to cope with that stress is to buy things. Mm-hmm. And that's not just for the military, that's for most people, is that it's a coping mechanism that they buy things, makes them feel good, then they turn around, that good feeling goes away, and they go back out charging again, and then all of a sudden you have all this debt.
Okay, let's talk about your book, Dollar and Uncommon Sense, Basic Training for Your Money, which I love the title. What do you mean by uncommon sense?
You know, uncommon sense is when you think and do different things for most people. I mean, most people are living paycheck to paycheck. They have, you know, debt. They have nothing in savings. And if you want your finances to be better, all you have to do is start using a little bit of uncommon sense. Start doing things differently. All
right. Well, tell us about the 10-10-80 rule, which I love. That I actually talk about that one myself. That it's one of the fundamental principles that anybody can use, and it will lead to success in your finances.
Exactly. Is that, you know, there's not too many rules that actually apply to everybody. For example, what your income is, but it doesn't matter if you're making $100 a week or $100,000 a year. The 10-10-80 rule works like this: is that I give away the first 10%, I save the next 10%, and then I live off the rest. Because most people, they do the opposite. They spend everything they make, they save what's left over, and they give only when possible. So if you want to have money, all you have to do is do the total opposite for most people.
All right, how do you get the 10% that you're saving? How do you get that working for you?
How do you get the working for you? I mean, what I would recommend is that you sit down with a certified financial planner and have them put together a plan that suits your needs. Because, you know, most people, you know, they have different ways they think about money. They worry about risk and expenses and things like that. So, you know, the big thing is that, you know, if you have money, you know, pay down that credit card, because that credit card, they're charging you 16%, 20% interest. That's guaranteed. So it's better to earn maybe 1% on your money than sit there and pay 16% to somebody else.
You are a certified financial planner, so we're sitting down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What are the traits that your clients, the ones that really make it, what traits do they have that sort of set them apart?
You know, something that I learned, you know, I left the Army with $32,000 worth of credit card debt, and I mean, it was painful. I mean, I live paycheck to paycheck. You know, here I am worrying night after night, you know, how am I going to sit there and get this debt paid off? I basically said that, hey, I'm just going to live with it. It'll, you know, if it gets paid off, it gets paid off. If not, it's not. But, you know, once I sat down with people that had money, they all had these 6 common traits. And it wasn't because they were doctors and attorneys and they made a whole bunch of money, but they just, number one is that they spent less money than what they made. The second thing is that they had little or no debt. The third thing is that they saved. They had long-term plans for their money. They didn't allow their emotions to affect their financial decisions. And the last one is that they started saving early in their careers, which, you know, if you're later in your career, you say, well, gosh, it's too late for me, which I believe that it's never too late, but you still have control of those other traits.
Yeah, you may want to adopt a 10-20-70.
Exactly.
You know, just increase the amount that you save every year.
Exactly.
What do you think about the stock market right now? Yesterday, it roared off. Spain had a good auction of its bonds. And then the Fed chief comes in, Bernanke, and says he starts talking about the fiscal cliff and an overall slowdown in the U.S. economy. Would you be putting your money today in stocks?
You know, that's a great question. You know, it's like I follow, what does my book say? It says that I do not allow my emotions to affect my financial decisions. So the stock market is very, very emotional. And so if you're going to make decisions based on the direction of the stock market, most likely you're going to fail. So, you know, I believe that you put a plan together and you follow that plan. You know, if you're riding in an airplane and you start experiencing some turbulence, you don't sit there and jump out the airplane. You kind of ride it out, and hopefully it lands.
So you would tell people, just fasten your seatbelt.
Fasten your seatbelts. That would be some great advice right now.
You'll get to the destination.
Exactly.
For somebody, say, in their 50s, what would be a mix you would recommend between investments? Well,
that's a great question. You know, like I said, that determines on your personal situation. And you know, if, for example, I just believe that, you know, you should have a strong foundation, which that's built on cash. You should, you know, your first goal is that, hey, I need to have 2 years of living expenses built up in savings, and that should be your primary goal, because if something bad happens, you know, if the stock market's down, you don't want to be pulling money out of the stock market at that time. So you want to really build up those safe, short-term, liquid, strong things that will sit there and hopefully weather the storm for you.
So you're recommending a large allocation of cash?
Well, like I said, that determines for each, you know, each individual, and that's what's kind of hard is that, you know, there's no such thing as there's no such thing as one advice fits all, and that's why I say that, hey, sit down with a certified financial planner to talk about your unique situation, because those generics, well, you should have it this way or that way. There's a lot of other things that you have to take in consideration. So, like, the first thing, you know, concentrate on the basics. That's why it's called basic, you know, basic training for your money. You know, let's forget about your allocation. Tell me that you're spending less money that you're making. Tell me that you have little or no debt. Tell me that you're saving. And once you got that stuff straight, then we can sit there and get you on a good plan.
Okay. Good advice. The book is called Dollars and Uncommon Sense, Basic Training for Your Money. Steve, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right, Terry.